we're going to start with the tripod first. So why don't we take the tripod out? I should probably go ahead and take the tripods out. That better? Check 1, 2, 3. I didn't have it hooked. The love.
Yeah.
My bad. Alrighty. Okay, so let's stop right there and let her catch up. What's your name?
Ashlyn?
Ashlyn?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. And your name? Sorry.
Eli.
Eli and Ashline. Ashline?
Ashlyn.
Ashlyn.
Yeah.
Ash, not line. Lynn. Okay. You'll notice when these are packed up, they're folded obviously, and this is down, and the tripod plate is flat. It's flat. Okay. The first thing you're going to want to do before you try to unfold the tripod is you're going to need to move this arm out of the way. And the reason being is if you try to open this right now, see that kind of gets in the way. This thing gets in the way. Okay, so take that and unscrew it here. Other way, lefty loosey, righty tighty, and flip it back. Righty, good. You can just take it down to like there, and then tighten it back up a little bit. And now it'll open up without too much binding. So open it up the legs. Great. So, is it being funny for you there? There we go. A little bit weird. Okay. I'm showing you the process for when you first open it up. You actually want to do that also when you pack it up. The first thing you'll do is flip this arm up to get it to lay down. The last thing you want to do is once you fold it up is you'll want to take that and spin it down so it's up against the leg so it'll fit in the bag. Okay? Alrighty. So the tripods themselves, we'll go through a couple of the parts. Okay? This is called a 3-stage tripod. The reason why is there's actually 3 sections to the legs. We have this lower one here, and then we have this middle section here, and then the upper one on top. Okay? My best advice to you when you're using a tripod is work the legs from the top down. The reason why is if you look at this, this is the second stage right here. It's 2 poles. Okay? Right here and here. There's 2 poles for the top stage, and there's 2 poles for the bottom stage. And it's going to be a little bit more stable than if you were to start from the bottom. It's got 1 pole. Not quite as stable, but you'll get some twist in it. Okay? It's just, and also it's convenient to start from the top and work your way down anyway. Okay? But there is a reason why they did what they did the way they did it. Okay? So, with that in mind, this is really loose. Wow. Okay, I'm going to see if I can. There we go. Okay. All right. So I'm going to let you do this. You flip these levers. Bring the tripod legs up, and then lock them back down again so you can get it up to I don't know, chest height. Okay. Good. And go ahead and just lock them off. Okay. Alrighty, and that's fine. Yeah, what is up with that, huh? Yeah, and they're all locked? That's good. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, again, if you needed to take it up even further, you could. One of the things I noticed that you guys didn't do, which was really quite wonderful, there's this Y-shaped thing on the bottom here that's kind of floating. It's called a spreader, this thing right here. And when you're pulling these things open, there might be a temptation to put your foot on that to stretch the leg out easier, okay? The problem with that is with this particular model of tripod with the spreader like this, if you step on this too hard, these ends break off. So we want to kind of avoid doing that, okay? So what you guys did was great. Another way you could do it is just do one leg at a time. You know, put one leg out and then put the other leg out. You know, and then the other leg out. Either way is fine. But if you could, if you see the spreader, this thing right here, floating, so you can put your foot under it, avoid stepping on it or else it'll break. Okay? The newer tripods that we're getting right now have a spreader that's actually flat on the floor, so you could step on it and it won't break the tripod. But it's actually probably a pretty good practice to not step on it. Just, you know, as a matter of course. You don't know what kind of gear when you get out into the real world, what you're going to be getting, and it's just a good thing, a habit to get into, muscle memory, okay? Okay, so let's talk about the tripod. We've got these levers to elevate these, right? That makes sense, right? Most of them are like that. Okay, some of them have a twist knob, but they all pretty much work the same. Okay, this is called the tripod. This is the tripod head. Okay, and there's a number of controls that we want to go over this with. Okay, we are able to, with the tripod head, we are able to pan, and we were able to tilt. Right? Make sense? Okay, now if you tilt that, go ahead and try tilting that. Let's see what you are. Is yours really tight? Okay, this was improperly used. We'll go over that. Okay, it's really bouncy, right? Yeah. Okay, there is on the side, there's a lever. This lever right here and this lever right here, that's a lock. Okay, so if you don't want the thing to bounce up and down, you would lock it, okay? To unlock it, you just twist it a quarter of a turn and it'll bounce, okay? So now it's locked. Now it's not. Okay, now this tripod's got a little bit of a problem we're gonna have to play with. On the other side, there's this other knob here. Okay, it's not a lever like this. You know, it's kind of got a little lever on it. It's a knob, and it has a red ring around it, okay? This is actually, it's called either friction or drag. And what I want for you to do is bounce that up and down, and I'm gonna increase the drag on that. It'll start to stiffen up a little bit. Have you noticed it's starting to stiffen up? Okay. You want to adjust what is comfortable for you, as far as you don't want it too sloppy or else you get bad pans and tilts and zooms and stuff like that. I like a little bit of friction on there. It's really your choice, okay? What we want you guys to be able to do is to set up this gear so that it works for you, not for the person before you, okay? So that's really why we're going through all of this, okay? So this is friction. Now it's easy. Now it's not. Once you've got it to where you want it, don't use this to lock it down. That's what happened over here, and that's why we're loose here, but it's really bad. Okay? Use this lever here, the lock. Okay? So now it won't bounce. Okay? All right, now it will. It's loose on the bottom here right now. That's all that was. Okay, so you see this red ring here, and this is for the tilt. Okay? And you guys know what a pan is, right? Yeah. Left to right? Yeah? Okay? There's a red ring here, and this ring right here gives you the friction or drag for pan. Okay, so right now it's pretty stiff. If I loosen it up, it gets real easy. And there is a lock on these. Now this is the back of the tripod. This is the handle, you know, your end of the tripod. On the front end of it here, right here, there's a knob right here. Okay, and if we tighten that down just a little, we don't have to go hugely crazy with it, it locks it. Okay, loosen it up, and now it'll go. Now let's take a look at yours here. What somebody apparently had done is they decided to lock it down, but they didn't use the lock. They used the friction. So I'm kind of hoping that this will, that didn't sound so good, did it? It seems to be okay though. Yeah, it seems to be all right. So what I would like for you to do, both of you guys, is to play with these friction knobs for a second. Do the tilt first. Come on over here and do this tilt. And get it. Turn the knob while you're bouncing it up and down. I know it's a little bit like doing this thing here, but and turn it as you're bouncing, and you'll see the friction change. Keep bouncing, just keep it steady up and down, and then while you're doing that, turn the knob, and you'll see. You feel the difference of the change in the friction? Yeah. And you see that? Okay. That's how you want to adjust it for when you're actually shooting, so that you can get a nice, smooth, in this case, tilt. Okay. Same holds true for the pan. Okay, the lock is right here, and yours is unlocked. Okay, this is the lock right here. Okay, does it pan? Is it really stiff? Yes. Yeah, okay, they used a lot. Take this ring and rotate it. You actually see over here, there's an instruction on here. Lighten and, is it called lighten and, I can't remember. I can't read it, my eyes are shot to hell. So if I, wow, yeah. Like a negative. Okay, now try it. And it should be getting pretty loose. Yeah. Okay, now try tightening that just to where it's comfortable.
It's like sports game hold right here.
Just so it's a little bit of resistance so that you can get smoothness, but yeah. Okay, and again, to lock that on the front right over here, there's this knob. And all you need to do is, well, go ahead and you tighten it. Okay. Other way. Okay. There you go. And you don't have to go crazy tight with it. And now it should keep it from, now it's not going to be a perfect lock, but with a pan, kind of doesn't really matter. What we're really worried about is it locking, you know, if it tips down, it's startling, you know. And the locks on these are actually pretty good. So just a little bit of a a tighten there, and it'll keep it fairly tight. Here, better. Still kind of just got a little wrecked. Okay, so remember, locks are the levers here and here and here and here. Okay. Pan frictions or drag or whatever you want to call it are, on this particular model, they're ringed in red, and they're knobs, and they're here and here. Okay, it's important to know. Okay, do not lock them down with the pans until for the drags, or else you'll wreck the tripod. And this one, I think, is going to need work in a little while. Another thing to notice is this is actually what holds the camera onto the tripod. There's a plate on the bottom of the camera. Okay, and there's this lever right here, and what happens is it's a kind of a keystone shaped thing, and it slides in there, and then this thing, when you back this in, you see how that opens up? It actually goes in and pinches it, and that's what holds the tripod, the camera onto the tripod. What you'll probably want to do is just spin that out so that's about even there. Okay? Notice that that's brass. They're really easy to break. You don't have to crank anything down real hard. Okay? As a matter of fact, if you find yourself having to crank things down really hard to make things work, there's something wrong with the tripod. Okay? So we'll slide the camera on. We'll just tighten it down a little bit, and you'll be good to go. Okay, the last adjustment that I want to show you is there is a balancing ball on these things. Okay, on the back here is a spirit level. You see that spirit level right there? It's right there. See that thing right there? It's a little, you don't see the ball in there because it's really tilted off. Well, on the bottom, right down here, is another lever. Go ahead, stick your hand under there. You'll see there's a lever right there. Loosen that up. That's really tight, isn't it? Yeah. There you go. And try to get the ball into the center of the, the target as close as you can, and that'll be pretty good.
It's like a game over here, just trying to get.
Yeah, right. Some of the other tripods, we have a different set of camera for the upper level classes, and they actually have a little light on there. You can push the button, the light shines right down on it, which is pretty handy.
I just had it too.
Well, again, I want you to, even for now, it's a workshop. It's not a huge big deal. I just want you to be aware of it, okay? Everybody ball levels their cameras. Everybody knows about locks and frictions, okay? So that's good. Should we move on over to the camera now? Yeah, why not, right? Okay, let's get a camera out. Both of the cameras out. And there should be a battery there somewhere. Okay, good. Let's not bother snapping those in yet. Let's take a look at them. Have you guys put batteries on these cameras yet? No. Okay, why don't we kind of come together closer here so we can kind of all look together, and we'll break a couple of laws for COVID. Do you mind if I take your camera first and show this, okay? What you'll want to do is there are these holes on the bottom here, those are actually the contacts. They want to be on facing down toward the floor. Okay, and what you do is you put the battery in, and then you pull it down, and it clicks. Okay, and now it's locked in. Make sense? To remove it, you push this button right here, slide it up, and it comes off once you try the same. You want to actually put it on the cameras first before you try it, and that way it's one less thing you're holding on to. We can do that. Or you can just, here. That didn't click, so it's not on. Let's take a look. There you go. Here. Go ahead and push it in like you had it. That's good. And now pull downward. There you go. Okay? And you reverse the process by pushing this button on the top and then sliding the battery up at the same time. Yeah, it's easier with if we're on the tripod. Okay.
Different than the Canons.
Right. They all have something different. Even the other Sonys that we have a different battery arrangement on them. This is one of those things when you get the camera, the first time you get it, you're going to have to play, and that'll be universal. If you guys want to do this for a living, you'll just get used to taking cameras and playing with them before you take them out for real. It's just the way it is. Okay, so let's put the batteries back on the cameras so that we're only dealing with one piece instead of two pieces. Good. That's your tripod. This is your tripod. What you'll want to do to slide these on is, if you look on the bottom of these cameras, remember I told you it's kind of this keystone shaped thing right here. This is the plate. Okay, and if you had to put this on yourself, there is a front and a back. It says lens and it's pointing that way. Okay, these are bolted down for us automatically. what you'll want to do is start from the back, work your way forward. Okay, and I'll do one and then I'll let you guys do it afterward, okay? So, we put it on, right there, slide until you hear a click, okay? And then it is on. Now, what you're hearing on that click is there's actually a safety feature on these, so if you forget to lock the camera down, the tilt, and it should slide back, at least it won't fall off and hit the ground, okay? But we really want to avoid that. It's scary, you know, to have that thing come down like that, kind of, you know, it's scary. Let's avoid that, okay? And we avoid that by actually locking it down as soon as we put it on. Here's that knob right there. It's that one right there. My best recommendation is here's that plate that we're putting it on. I'd say just line that up with the front and then tighten her down. Doesn't have to be hugely tight. And there you go. Try that. And I'm going to pull this off for you to let you try it. There you go.
So, does it really have to be? Do you have to put it on through the back?
Yeah, you can sometimes get it to go on properly, but it usually gets annoyed. How'd you make out? Oh, you're a little bit cockeyed there, I think.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Is it stuck?
A little bit.
Okay. Try it again. What you tend to do on these is you tend to try to ride it in like that.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that it's really, really flush with that, and then it will make a liar out of it, is what it'll do. Sorry, that was my bad. I'm going to lock this thing. This is a little annoying that, there. Is this loose? Ah, that's the problem right there. That locking pieces. Okay, so that's something you might want to check. This is still bouncing a lot. This tripod needs work. Yeah, this tripod needs work. Somebody cranked down on the, yeah, so we might want to take that back with us, okay? So it's going to be a little, no, we'll work with it now. It's okay. To take it off of here, you'll want to make sure that this side lock bolt right here is loosened up, just a half a turn or a turn. Okay, so this is how you keep it from sliding forward and backward. This guy right here. You don't have to tighten it down hugely tight, but when you want to take it off, you just need to take and back that down maybe a half or 3/4 of a turn. There's a button right here. See that button?
Yeah.
Push that button. Slides right off. I'm going to let you do the whole thing again. There you go. See how it wanted to go forward? It wouldn't go forward, but it, and again, that's not, sometimes it does work.
Yeah.
But just go from the back to the front, and you know, with any of them. The Vintons that we use, the upper level cameras, same way. You just want to start it from the back. I can't give you a real reason as to why. So go ahead and slide that back on, and let's see where we are. Yeah, you were turning the right one here, and now you've got it off. You're okay with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Put that back on and lock her down. And I want you to put that on and lock her down also. Okay, good. Let's see. That's great. That's perfect. Okay, how are we doing? All right, so we know how to get the camera on and off now. That's a pretty good thing, right? You got the batteries on, you know how to do that. Let's start from the front of the camera and work our way back, okay? And I'm gonna kind of, because I don't have my own camera here, I'm gonna kind of work between the two of your cameras, okay? There is a lens cap on these. So right now, if we were to turn the camera on, which we will do, actually, right now, okay? And I said front to back, but we're gonna break the rule. And if you look underneath this viewfinder here, there's a switch. See that switch? Mm-hmm. One says off and one says our 1 and 0. Take it and turn that on. There you go, okay? Now, if we open up, right now you could probably see nothing in here, okay? And if we open up this viewfinder, this turns off, and we still see nothing but blank, okay? Got nothing, oh, you didn't get yours on there.
It was like this.
That wants to
switch,
be
it
over
was
there.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Okay, so I mean, we know the camera's on, but we're not seeing anything. That's because there is a built-in lens cap on these cameras. Okay, and that lens cap is right on this box right here, this box. Okay, right over here, there's a lever. It's right there. Go ahead, I want you to actually open that up and close it yourself on the other side. Okay, so if you turn the camera on and you're not seeing anything, check to see if the lens cap is on. And also at the end of the day, if you could, shutter that down again just to protect the lens while it's being transferred. That'd be helpful. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and make those so they're open so we can see what's going on. Sony has a way with their lenses. We're starting from now on the lens. They actually have a means of being able to change over from autofocus to manual focus, okay? And that's this front ring. This is the focus ring right here. And currently it's, if you look here, it says full manual focus, and it's pointing that way. That's because this ring moves. Okay, and right now it's in full manual focus. Now it's in manual focus or manual autofocus, okay? And I'll explain what that is in a minute. I know it sounds kind of silly, but there is a method here. As an old school kind of guy, I like to do full manual focus. What full manual focus does is it actually connects this ring with the gears that moves the glass inside the lens. Okay, so there's a foot and meter gauge right here. Okay, you see that right there? This guy right here? And when it's in full manual, when I rotate the ring, the focus ring, it's actually moving the lens elements inside there, and it's actually showing you a change in the feet and meters. Right there, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, now, when they say autofocus, manual focus, if you pull this out, and as long as you're not in autofocus, which is this guy right here, you're still in manual focus, and you're rotating the ring, and wherever you're rotating that, the lenses inside will follow, but it's not you actually moving the glass. What's happening is there's a motor inside there, and when you move that ring, the motor is saying, it just got moved, I'm going to move it to where the person who rotated that ring is moving it to. It's kind of like fly-by-wire, or, power brakes, if you will. You know what I mean? Where you're not actually physically moving the stuff, but you're telling it exactly where to move it to. And full autofocus, which is this lever here on the bottom, it says manual autofocus right here. Okay, you see it? Right now it's in manual. If you switch it over to auto, and if thing is pushed out, it will look in the center and focus whatever is in the center. My best advice to you is turn off autofocus, okay? Don't ever use it. And the reason being is it's this lever right here, okay? Just always not use the autofocus. The reason why is, say you're shooting and you're on somebody and something goes in front of your subject or behind your subject, and the camera all of a sudden goes, whoo, whoop. Yeah, ever see where autofocus just kind of fritzes out? That is the #1 sign of amateur, okay? We want to avoid that.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
So that's why more films are just like, they use more manual focus.
They use all manual focus.
So you'll never see a film with autofocus.
You will not see a filmmaker use autofocus. It just won't happen. As a matter of fact, in a real film crew, they have somebody called a focus puller. Maybe you've heard of them, I don't know. They are actually, their job, they have one job to do, and that is to keep it in focus. And so that's their job, they're focus puller, okay? But that's in, big time film cinema, you know what I mean? We're kind of predators, we're producer editors, we're doing it all on our own, so we do check that. But I just think, and you know what? I don't know whether your instructor is saying that autofocus is bad or not. My years of doing creative, I've found autofocus to really be distractive, and I can always tell when somebody's got autofocus on because you get that thing. Same holds true for auto iris, okay? And auto iris is this ring right here, okay? It's the one that's closest to the camera body right here, and yours is actually in auto iris. So let's take that and turn it off. Is that the wrong one? Oh, I'm sorry, just that one on the top. Oh, well, you're in full automatic. Okay, there we go. There's a button here, a green button. This guy right here, by the way, it says fully auto, okay? No matter what position you have this thing in, hit the green button and it goes into point and shoot, okay? I would strongly urge you not to use it, okay? It's there. If you want to use it, it's on you, okay? So I would say if that's green, make it go away. Go ahead and make that one go away. Okay, so now that that's off, this will rotate now, okay, freely. Okay, if you're shooting a subject and a car goes by and sun catches the window glass, it'll go, whoo, it'll iris down and iris back up and then come back to where it's supposed to be. So you would probably rather have that window as a fleeting image blow out for a second than to have your whole subject just go dark and then light and then dark, normal again. So I would not shoot in auto iris either. Okay, so now you're shooting manual focus and manual iris. You're doing it. You are in control. This is a good thing. Okay? Any questions so far? No. Okay. That middle ring, which actually we can't see on this camera. Well, we can. It's right here, but there's a knob missing on this one. There's a knob right here. Okay, we'll try to see if we can get a knob for that. But that is for zoom. Okay? And we have servo zooms on these. That means we have a motor, kind of like the motor when you're in auto manual on here. We tell it where it wants to go, and it, we move it, and then it moves for the same. Same holds true with this. It's called a servo zoom. It's this rocker right here. Okay, so now it's zooming in, and now it's zooming out, and now it's zooming in. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so go ahead and play with that. Come on around here and play. See what I'm saying? It's this rocker right here.
Okay.
Now it's zooming in, now it's zooming out. I'm going to give you a little bit more light in there. There we go, just so we can play. Okay. Now, if for some reason you're hitting that zoom button and nothing's happening, there's a reason, okay? The camera is probably not broken, but if we look
You said probably.
on the bottom,
So manual?
there's a button, there's a switch right here. It says manual and servo, right? So if this is switched to manual, we can't use this. See, it's just not working, okay? If you had a handle on here, you'd be able to zoom it by yourself. The advantage of this, just one example of this would be like if you're shooting sports, basketball, for example. You want to get a focus, okay? With this, if there was a nice lever on there, you would be able to take it in, focus it, pull it back out very quickly. Whereas with the servo, you zoom, focus, zoom, and then you can take your shot. Well, by that time, the basketball player is not here anymore. The basketball player is at the other end of the court. It's just a way of being able to snap the zoom for focus or whatever. Or you might want to use that in a production. You might want to snap zoom for some reason. Okay, you can't get that with the servo. You can get it with your hand. Okay. And the reason why I'm telling you this right at the get-go is because some people do this, but then they don't switch the zoom lever back, the servo lever back. So if you get in there and the thing is just not zooming, first thing to check would be to come under here, find this switch, throw it, and now presto, changeo, it works just like magic again. Okay, just so that you know. Any questions so far? Okay, one of the things you're wondering, I said that you're going to want to shoot manual iris, right? Probably a question that comes to your mind is, well, what is the correct light then? Kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, we have several tools that we can use. I'm going to show you one, okay? There is a thing called a histogram. Have you heard of a histogram before? It's basically a graphical image of value of light over a spectrum of brightness, okay? We can turn this on. In this case, it will be, hopefully, if this didn't get changed, F3. Yes. See it right there? Now it's off, now it's on. Okay, that's a histogram. Let's check your camera just to see. It might already be on. It should be on. Usually people shoot with them. No, it's not on. So F3 is right over there. See if you can find it.
This?
Does that say F3? Give it a push.
That's
Now you get a little box in the corner?
No.
It's not there? Oh, somebody changed the camera around. Let's fix that. I'm going to fix that, okay? Oh, where do we fix this? I think it's under here. No, it's not gain.
Somebody reprogram it?
Yeah, somebody reprogrammed the buttons. These menus are a little, well, they're a lot terrible. That's not it. Maybe it's under here. We are going to do a little bit of camera work. Are we doing okay, guys, with time? I see you guys are both looking.
Oh yeah.
Oh, man, I can't even remember where that... Okay. System? That's not it. Sorry, it's been a while, guys.
Sorry.
somewhere around here is a way to assign those buttons. And this got changed, and I don't know why it got changed, but it did. Station image. Right. No, that's not it. Audio, maybe it's this one. Nope. Nope. Ah. That's not it. Not here. I'm going to have to go find. Oh, here it is. It's right here. Okay, 3 is off for some reason. Don't know why. We're going to turn that to histogram. There. Alrighty, and then I'm going to get out of the menu, and let's try this again. Okay, so if we hit camera 3, histogram comes on. Okay, go ahead and try that. So the histogram, have you tried looking through with the histogram on and rotating the iris ring, which is the one closest, this one right here, closest to the, you see how when it's darker, it goes to the left, and when things lighten up, it goes to the right? See what I'm saying? Well, what you want to do with the histogram is kind of make a mountain in the middle. Okay, if it's too far to the left, it's going to be a little dark, and if it's too far over to the right, it's going to be too bright and maybe even blowing out. What you want is a nice mountain in the middle. Okay? That makes sense? Okay. Now, speaking of menus, I'm going to back up a little bit here because we had a menu issue here. You can go into the menus. It's okay for you guys to go into the menus if you want. There is, as a matter of fact, before you actually start shooting, you're going to want to do one of the menu items, okay? And to get to the menus on the top of the camera, there's a menu button. Okay, and then what you'll want to do, let's make sure we're all the way over so that these are highlighted over here. Yeah, you're in the right spot now. You're in the root of the directory here. What you'll want to do from there is go all the way down to the bottom. Good. And then you'll want to go over one to the right and then go all the way down to the bottom again. You can just hold them, by the way, and they'll just scroll quickly. And then you'll want to go up 5 pushes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Should say format media, right? Yep. Okay. What format media does is it erases everything that's on that card that was shot previously. You're starting off, it's like a blank tape, if you will. Okay, and you'll want to do that. So go ahead and push the enter button, the OK button. Oh, I'm sorry. You'll need to go arrow over. I'm sorry. It's been a while. Is that right? Yeah. And it says Media A, and the only one we have is Media A. And go ahead and enter that, and then up for execute, and hit OK.
This one?
Yeah. And then up for execute, and then hit OK, and it says, "Are you sure?" And yes, you're absolutely sure. You want to wipe out the card. And then it does a format. Okay. Can you think of why you would want to do that?
Clear any work that was done before so it doesn't mix up with your work.
Yeah, you guys, if you're using the workflow that we have, exactly. If you're using our workflow, you really don't want to be putting the guys' work that they had before on your drive. You've got 100 gigs, which it's good size, but it's not, infinite, So why copy over their stuff into your edit share drive? If you do this every time before you start shooting, you're starting off with a blank tape and life is good. And it's only your stuff that you're going to be putting on to your edit share drive to edit. Okay? So do remember that. Okay? So we've gone through the lens, right? We've talked about focus and the 2 different modes of focus. That's the in and the out right here. We've talked about the zoom, which is this guy right here. Okay? By the way, even with it in servo, you can move this. Go ahead and actually rotate that ring. It feels kind of rough. Okay? It's not going to hurt anything. It's just it feels terrible. Okay? If you want to do the manual focus, just disconnect the gears from the lens and you'll be good to go. Okay? And we talked about iris, and you talked about how to get a proper iris, right? We're good to go? Any questions? Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the body of the camera, okay? Alrighty, we have a bunch of switches here. We have on the top, auto iris, our manual iris. Again, my recommendation is to stay away from auto iris, so that would be manual. There is a macro switch on here. Now macro, you know what macro is? Macro photography, maybe you've heard of it? Close-up photography? Basically 1-to-1 photography is what it is. You use the size of the object is the same as the object going onto the image sensor. That's a technical term for macro. But it's just off the top of your head, it's close-up photography, okay?
Like a headshot?
What's that?
Like a headshot?
Say that again.
Almost like a headshot of someone?
Well, yeah, or even closer, like an eye shot. You know what I mean? The thing is, they got this macro thing on here, and it sucks. Okay, it's terrible. Basically, what it involves is you put it in macro, you use the focus and the zoom in combination, and hopefully it works, okay? It's really terrible. I would say just don't even use it, okay? These are not great cameras. You know, if you want to do close-up work, use a DSLR or, you know, a RED or, you know, something. This is a news gathering camera. It's a generalist camera, and it makes a good image, but the extremes are not great on them. The close-ups are not great, okay? So I would just say ignore that macro button. And then the one on the bottom here is for,
Focus?
yes, manual focus or autofocus. Remember, if you're in manual focus, you can either move the glass yourself by having this, and you can see that orangey kind of ring there, and you're moving the glass yourself, or you can pull it forward, and now it's still going where you want it to, but it's not you, it's the motors inside that are moving it, okay? When it's in autofocus, which I do not recommend, and this wants to be an autofocus manual focus, so it would want to be pulled out like that, it'll focus on what it thinks it should be. And you probably don't want to lose that amount of control, okay? I'd say keep it in manual focus.
But what's preferred more when you're focusing on something? When the orange ring are showing, or when it's not showing?
That's a matter of choice. You know, you'll get the same response. I'm old school, okay? I've always moved my own glass when I was doing creative, okay? So to me, to do this fly-by-wire thing, I see a slight delay, kind of this kind of thing, which drives me nuts, okay? It might not bother you at all. There is no wrong, okay, on that. There really isn't. If it doesn't bother you, then by all means, don't bother with moving, don't pull it back and move the glass yourself. You can do it that way. Doesn't matter. It's entirely up to you, okay? I'm not going to tell you there's a right or wrong on that, okay? All right, we have, moving further back into the body, we have this thing called ND filter. See it right there? Did anybody care to take a venture or guess as to what ND stands for? I'll give it to you. How's that? Okay. Neutral density. It's a gray filter, okay? If you're outside and you want to have a more wide open iris, but it's just too bright to be able to do that, you can put a gray filter in between it, okay? And I'm going to switch this, and you can just follow along with me by pushing it up one lever. You'll see it gets darker, and then it gets darker even still, okay? I'm going to take it all the way back down. All the way back down is clear. I'm going to get your menus out, okay? There, we're good. Are you still in the menus? No, you're not. Okay. So you may be wondering, why would you on Earth ever want to have it a wide open iris when it's bright out? Why, right? And the reason why would be in cinematography, they have this thing called depth of field. Maybe you've heard of depth of field? You said you worked with cameras. You probably have heard of this. It's what's in focus at a set focal point, okay? So if we're focused right here, with a small iris setting, things are pretty sharp from front to back. Okay, you got what they call a wide depth of field. Okay, if you open up the iris, let more light in. Okay, so it would be going this way. That would be going. So if we're going this way, if you look, there's numbers on here. These are F numbers. The lower the F number, the more wide open the thing, the narrower the depth of field goes. Okay, so if you're shooting somebody here, instead of the depth of field being here and here, it's more like here and here, okay? You might want to do, if you're shooting an interview and an interviewee, okay? You might want to shoot over the shoulder with the interviewee, the interviewer, the interviewee, you might want sharp, but you might want to rack focus between a sharp shoulder and a blurry face, and a blurry shoulder and a sharp face. Well, in order to do that, you need a really wide open iris to get that shallow depth of field. That make sense? Yeah. Okay. And that's how you would do it. And if you were outside and you weren't able to get that down, you'd throw in the neutral density. It'd be fine. Now, there's a trap. Okay. If you don't know that that neutral density is on and you try to shoot indoors, you're never going to get enough light in here. You know what I mean? So what you might want to do is go in and do what they call gain. Okay. And that's this button right down here. Okay, and it's an electronic version of the opposite of a neutral density, if you will. Okay, so we could throw that on, and it gives you a little bit of help. Okay, I'll go ahead and throw that gain on. Gives you a little bit of help. Gives you a lot of help in your case because you weren't here. But say you were with a little bit of neutral density and a gain, all the gain up. Okay, you're getting an image at somewhere around, I don't know, f22. It's really, really bright. The problem with the gain, that gain switch right there, it's really handy if you just can't get an image. But gain introduces noise into the picture. I got a little saying that I say, gain equals grain, okay? Like kind of pixelizy, kind of grungy looking, which is a cool effect, if you're shooting something and want it to look edgy. You're shooting a chase scene outside, and you got cars going by back and forth, and it's all grungy and Dutch angles and stuff like that, and you might want grain in it, okay? Great, it's a wonderful effect. The problem with grain is it's easy to put in, okay? You can put it in right here, you can put it right here, you can put it in post. All editing programs have a noise button that you can add noise. However, if it's originally shot with noise on it, you're not taking it out, okay? It's a pain in the neck to get out. What you would have to do is do like a blur, a Gaussian blur or something like that to try to pull it out, and that softens up the whole thing, okay? My best advice to you at this point in time, you might want to change your mind on this, but my advice to you on this would be shoot with as little grain as you can, okay? That would mean taking this and actually have it in low, which is actually normal, and that's low is right here, which is normal, okay? If you have to bring it in, if you're in a really extreme situation, use it sparingly, okay? All right, so how are we doing so far? Are we comfortable with what we're talking about? And again, I wanted to show you these because sometimes people are out and they throw, the neutral density on, and a reaction might be, oh, I got to put gain on this thing, and then you're just really, really throwing gasoline onto that fire, where you'll come back and it's like, God, what is with this footage? It looks terrible, And the reason why is because it's noisy, because you had to put electronic gain on it, okay? We want to avoid that, okay? All right, so we already looked at these assign buttons a little bit. We used assignment 3, which is normally set to that histogram, okay? They have one that's called Zebra. Remember you were when we talked about how to know whether things are the proper exposure. Another means of doing this is through a thing called Zebra. And if you push the Zebra button, you'll probably see stripes in there. Okay, and as you iris down, the zebras go away. Okay, what you want to do is so about 80% is zebraed. Okay? And if you look at your histogram, that probably puts you right about where it would be, okay? Zebra, if it's too bright, will go away, but you'll see like a blooming, things get very bright and kind of soft looking. Then you'll know you're too overexposed. My best advice, if you're gonna use Zebra, is take it down and bring it up until you start seeing, and give it about 70 or 80% where you see the zebra stripes in there, and you'll be in good shape. Don't have to use it if you don't want. I'm old school. They didn't have histograms when I was doing shooting, so I used Zebra all the time. It's a part of the camera right here, okay? I would say stay away from, you can use peaking if you want, you can look at it, shoot with it. I can't explain the difference. It has to do with brightness and sharpness, and I'm not even going to try to explain it, okay? But there's a crispness to peaking. 3 is the histogram turning it on and off, and I cannot remember for the life of me what 4 was. Let's find out. Oh, color bars. Okay. So if you want to put color bars on your thing, you just hit the button and it's color bars.
You don't want to record, there you go.
What's that? Well, you might want to. If
Whenever you're on break, there you go.
There you go. It's in bars. If it's in bars and you don't understand why, hit assign 4, and you should be good to go. How are we doing on time? I'm really kind of. This is my first one here. Oh, we're doing fine. Okay. I tend to ramble. So you can just tell me to move on, okay? All right, well, let's move on. Okay, so we talked a little bit about gain, okay? Let's talk a little bit about white balance, which is over here, okay? It's behind the gain switch, okay? And there's actually a preset, which the camera makes its best guess. You know what white balance is, guys? I'm sorry, I'm moving ahead. You know what white balance is?
I remember setting up white balance on the camera.
And the reason why is if you don't, things might look amber or might look blue, okay? The logic here is white is a combination of all the colors, okay? And if you have a pure white, that means you have equal quantities of, in this case, red, green, blue, then colors are going to come out naturally, okay? If you if your light is blue, can you think of when a light would be blue? I'll give you another hint. If you're outside, light is bluer outside than it is inside, okay? On a cloudy day, it's really blue, okay? So my suggestion would be, if you're going to shoot, you know, pick something other than preset. I mean, you can certainly use preset if you want, but it's kind of like autofocus. It might work. It might not work. It might shift on you while you're shooting, okay? I would use A or B, okay? And I'm going to use A for this example, so put that in A, okay? And if we had take a white piece of paper with you, okay? And we won't do it now. I'll just explain it to you for time's sake. But what you'll want to do is you want to be in A or B. We're going to start with A, okay? Put a white card in front of it, and there's a button on the front right here. Look right where I'm at here. Right here, there's a button right there. Okay, that's the white balance button. So when you have a white card in front and you push that button, it's going to say, ah, this is supposed to be pure white. See, right now it's really an ugly color, isn't it? Let's actually do a white balance. Can I steal a piece of paper from you?
Piece of paper?
Yeah, just any old piece of paper. That'll be fine. Yeah, it's perfect. I'll bring it back. Okay, so this one is so far out of balance, I figure we might as well give it a whirl. Okay, so we got this white card here, and if you hit that button in the front, what is it saying? Auto white level is high. Okay, the light level is too high, so let's bring the histogram down to where it needs to be. Now try it. There we go.
Wow.
Okay, it doesn't have to fill the whole screen, but you know, half the screen. The computer, you know, the cameras are pretty smart in that regard. You want to try it?
Sure.
Did it say okay?
Yeah.
Or okay? So
Yeah.
what that's doing is we've got pure white, equal amounts of red, green, and blue equals white. So it won't go to amber or to blue or whatever. Outdoors is very bright, is very blue usually. During a cloudy day, it might go up. They use a temperature scale called Kelvin. Maybe you've heard of this Kelvin temperature thing. Okay, outdoors in a cloudy day, it could be 8,000 degrees Kelvin. Okay, indoors here, probably about 3,200 degrees. So if we were to take these outside right now and point at me, I would be really blue. I'd look like a Smurf. Okay. Conversely, if we white balance outside and we come inside without white balancing, I will look like, okay, I got to do it, Donald Trump. I didn't mean to offend anybody, but I just couldn't resist. Okay, so white balance is important. Okay, and again, you can try to do the preset. It might work for you, might not work for you. Okay, there's the A white balance register, which was that one right there. The B one, if you go ahead and switch that from A to B while looking at this monitor here, and you'll notice it says in there ATW. Yep. You see that? That's auto travel white. Okay, it's a pretty cool feature. If you balance in the B register, it's saying, okay, I know what white looks like. And if you're doing a traveling shot from, say, inside to outside, where it's 3,200 degrees Kelvin inside, but 8,000 degrees outside, the camera will go, oh, something happened to the light. I need to fix that. And it will automatically shift it towards blue.
It will adjust.
It will adjust. Yeah, it's pretty good. I wouldn't count on it 100%, but if you're doing a traveling shot and you want to have that going in and out in live, I would use it. You know, another thing that the B and the A register is, you might want to just balance one for indoors and one for outdoors if you're humping and dumping between outdoors and indoors. And then, you know, when you're indoors, it's always on the A, and when you're outdoors, it's always on the B, and you can white balance at the beginning of the shoot and then not worry about it again. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. I beat that to death. Okay. We have another, there's about 5,000 ways of doing any one thing on these, okay? We do have menus here and cancel button, and you can rotate these and push this button and it gets you into the menus. If you prefer this over the buttons on the top, go ahead and knock yourself out with them. Use them, you know, it's good. Okay, it's a matter of choice. It's just one of those things that I prefer to use the menus on the top. I'm old school though, you know, so I'm an old guy, you know. Might not be the way you want to do it. Okay, last thing we're going to talk about is this section here, which is audio, and actually audio is divided here and over here. Okay. Have you guys used any of the microphones that we use here yet? Haven't seen them? Okay, let's pull one of those puppies over. Here, I promise this back to you. There you go. Thank you. Okay. So these are the microphones. More than likely you'll be using lav microphones, but we do have stick microphones also. So if you want to do a stand-up, look like a news guy, okay, you can certainly do that. When you're interviewing somebody, if you've got the time to mic them up, like he's recording me, so he wanted to mic me. It's a lav microphone, lavalier microphone, okay? And these are the kits that you get, okay? Inside here, when you check out the gear, make sure that there's a clip on there. And if you're gonna be outside, make sure you got a windscreen, okay? If you don't, just get in the bag and say, broken clip or no clip, and they'll give you another one, okay? This is the microphone itself. These are a little delicate, okay? So I do want to give you a little bit of, care and feeding advice on these, okay? First off, don't stretch them out and wind them on your hand when you're done, okay? Just take it and, do this to put it away, okay? It doesn't even have to be hugely neat. If you wind cables around, but they pull the connectors loose and you can see wire in there, and then they don't work anymore, okay? So please be gentle with these, okay? They are a really good microphone, but they are a little bit fragile, okay? Now on the opposite end, that's a 3-pin connector. It's either called balanced audio or XLR. Maybe you've heard, grab an XLR cable, okay? Well, an XLR cable is a cable with XLR connectors on the end of it. This is all really we use, okay? It's an industry standard, okay? We can plug this into here, and there's a snap when it goes in. You push the button and it comes out, okay? If you weren't going any distance, I'm going to leave the cable out of there, but do know that we have cables in there and you're able to use it. But when you're using these, okay, they go in. Oh, you can see there's 3 pins there, right? Yep. Okay, and they made up with the three pins. They made up with the 3 holes that we got there. Snaps in, okay, won't pull out until you push the button. Okay? Things that are good to know. Okay, when we shoot mostly with these, and these are called a condenser microphone. They need power. They used to have this little thing here would have a battery and hold a battery in it. The problem with that is the batteries are always wearing out. You get out in the field and the microphone wouldn't work. It's kind of a pain. So now what we've done is we've changed that into this little box right here. So it's a transformer in there. And if you look on here, on the bottom here, you'll see it says line and then mic plus 48. Switch these over so they're always at mic plus 48, and that's powering the microphone, okay? Again, this is called a condenser microphone. Most condenser microphones are tiny, okay, like this. This, on the other hand, doesn't need power, okay? It's called a dynamic microphone. Uses the same connector, but doesn't need power. Doesn't matter. Leave the power on. If it doesn't need it, it won't draw it, okay? And what that's doing is it's actually drawing from this battery here, which is always getting recharged every time you come back anyway, so we don't have to worry about not getting power to these things. But if somebody does switch that, maybe they put it into the bag and hit the button. If you're not getting audio, that's a good place to check to make sure you've got that mic plus 48 on there. The name for that, by the way, is phantom power. Ooh, just thought you should know that. Okay, so you plug in here. We've got channels 1 and channel 2. You see they're actually labeled right there. Okay, then that relates to our panel over here. Okay, this is our audio section here. Now, if you want to listen through headphones, if you got old school 3.5 millimeter headphones, you can plug into this spigot right here. Okay, I would recommend you get a pair. You know, they're just good to have. Everybody in the world is using wireless, seems like wireless or USB-C or Lightning or whatever. Get a pair of these, okay? You'll use them throughout your whole career here, and they're cheap, okay? Plug into here, you'll be able to actually hear your audio. And the reason why you want to hear your audio is you have a choice between using these microphone spigots or using the internal microphones, the shotgun microphones built in here. It's a little stereo shotgun microphone right here, okay? And you switch that by choosing one of these switches. This is channel 1, this is channel 2. You see it? It says int and ext, right? You see what I'm talking about? It's right here.
Yeah.
Okay, the int one, which is down, is the shotgun microphone. Okay, now the shotgun microphone is a great backup plan, but they really are terrible sounding. You've heard the shotgun microphones if you've watched a news report where you hear all this noise around, you can just barely hear the person they're trying to interview talk. Well, the camera dude forgot to switch it from external to internal. That's the case. It's a difference. Even in a best day, audio off of these shotgun microphones is hollow and just crappy sounding, okay? I would use it if you're only using one microphone. Take this and put it in either channel A or channel B, and whichever one you put it, say we put it in channel A, make that in external, make that internal, and then take the other one and put it in internal. That way you got a backup plan. If this breaks, you're not silent video. You've got crap for audio, but you've got audio. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Okay. And you have a volume knob over here for each channel. And that, in a nutshell, is that. Okay? Do you have any questions at all? Feel free. How are we doing on time? I think we're pretty close to the end here, aren't we? We
So you
are
said for the
56.
shotgun-
Wow.
You said for the shotgun microphone, you want to keep it on X, no, int.
Int is the external, is the shotgun microphone.
Right.
Ext is the connectors on the side. Okay, if you're using two microphones, lav microphones or a lav and a stick, then they both obviously want to be on external. Okay, if you're using only one microphone, I'm only suggesting that you plug this into either A or B, and whatever one you're not plugged into, use that with the internal as a backup plan. That make sense? Okay. Now, I haven't given you, we scratched the surface, and I think you'll be able to go out. Oh, did I show you how to start and stop the camera?
I can face it.
It's not difficult, okay? There's a button right on the side here. Now, again, there's a couple of ways of doing this, but, oh, thank you. Thank you. Probably the most used button is this one right here. You know, you push it, it starts running, you get a little dot in the corner there. You see up in the top? Yeah, go ahead and push it. And you get a record button, okay? Push it again, and it stops, okay? We just recorded that, okay? It's important to verify that you're actually rolling. I have in the past, matter of fact with clients, I've actually gone in and I've gotten what they call out of sync, where when you push it you think you're recording, but you've actually stopped it. And then when you push it and you think you stopped it, you're actually recording. So I've gone back after a shoot and I've got all the shots of stuff, me moving the camera around and the camera in the bag, and you know, it's embarrassing. So do make sure that you're in sync, okay? It's just a good thing. And they give you a nice red dot here to verify, okay?